I wanted to come on here because I love answering your comments, and I got this one. I'm interested in your recommendations for how we can help others like us heal. There is just no help for the deep wounds that this causes, even into adulthood with therapy. So, speaking as a therapist, I would love to give you my recommendations. And really, what caught my attention was, what is this in your comment? So, this is what we're after, which is the truth. What is the truth of what actually happened to us? And let me start by saying something that I've been putting out there recently, which is the human trafficking industry is using adoption as its propaganda to run a global child supply market. Is that hard to hear? Because that will start the process to unpack the false narratives, the propaganda, the brainwashing messages that the industry has been putting out there for decades and generations that is getting in the way of the truth. So we know what human trafficking is, but we're not really clear on what adoption is. And it's fascinating because there is a definition of adoption. And yet, what we run into are people's beliefs, people's thoughts based on what they've heard from other people, from TV. We base the definition of adoption on our own lived experience, but we are one among millions around the world. So let's unpack this a little bit more, right? If we accept that there is an industry that has been putting out propaganda, calling it adoption, and even as victims of the industry, what is the industry trying to keep us from? And so we start realizing, okay, well, what is the definition of adoption itself? So let's try this on. That the definition of adoption is the act or fact of legally taking someone else's child to raise it as one's own. And when we break down that definition into its basic elements, taking someone else's child, turning it into a commodity in order to own it. So it's taking someone else's child, putting that child through a commodification process, the adoption process, in order to own it. And what's fascinating is that there is no decommodification process at the end of the adoption process. They don't turn us back into human beings. They keep us as commodities. It's necessary in order to maintain the fantasy, maintain the illusion that the industry has set up. We have no voice, we have no rights. So if you're able to accept that, then we're taking the first step in solving this problem of what actually happened to us by identifying the problem. Identifying the problem is the first step. It's the necessary first step. What actually happened to us? So, do you agree? And if you don't, I encourage you to seek out the truth for yourself and then come back and we'll carry on the discussion.